Look, Karens are the worst, and they believe that they can never be wrong. In today's story, the Karen accuses the subscriber of faking her service dog and actually goes as far as to call the cops. This is just so insane, so let's jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Ellie. So anyways, right, Ellie has a service dog. And I wasn't given the exact reason for why, and that's totally fine. All I was told was that the service dog was not because Ellie was blind and not because Ellie was deaf, but for a different reason. And that's all we need to know. But just for context, the service dog was legitimate, which the Karen did not believe, but we'll get to that in a second. So anyways, this story all happens one day when Ellie goes to the park. And one thing there's a nice park in her neighborhood. It's very big, spacious, a lot of things to do. So Ellie likes going there with her service dog because one, it's good for her, and two, it's good for the dog. Dog gets some exercise, you love to see it. This all happens one day when a Karen is mixed into the equation. And you already know that this is just room for disaster at this point. So anyways, right, sure enough, Ellie's there with her service dog, and they're just walking as normal. And this Karen comes up to her. And the Karen does the respectful thing in this case, is respectful up until this point, and asks politely, "May I pet your dog?" So this is just genuinely a good idea in general for all of you guys to do. It doesn't matter if the dog's a service dog or not. Whenever there's a dog, you should always, before you go and pet it, you should always ask the owner of the dog, "May I pet your dog?" Because who knows? The dog might not be good with people and might bite you, or maybe it'll get really scared and it's like traumatic that a random stranger comes reaching at it, right? I can totally understand why some dogs don't like it. And, it's a little sad because when you see a nice fluffy dog and you just want to go ahead and give it a nice pet and tell it's a good boy. Look, I get it. I understand. But at the end of the day, it's just important for you to ask the owner of the dog. And the Karen in this case did something good. From this point on, the Karen will not be doing anything good, but at least she did one thing good. So the thing about service dogs is in most cases, you're not supposed to pet them because they have a job that they need to do or whatever, and they need to focus, or I don't totally know the reasons, but I just know that's the case. So, Ellie explains pretty calmly and just "Oh, sorry, no, I can't," no. And gives the reason, which is a total legitimate reason. But let's not forget who we're dealing with here. We are dealing with a Karen. And if you ever tell a Karen no, or tell her that she's wrong, you're just in room for trouble, dude. So the Karen looks at her with this kind of expression of "Did you just say no to me right now?" And look, I get it. It's unfortunate, bro. I want to pet the cute dog too. I get it. And yeah, you were just told no. And it's always a little awkward when you nicely ask and you don't think it's a big deal and the person says no. But obviously, one, even if it wasn't a big deal, even if this wasn't a service dog, just respect the answer of the dog owner. And two, there is a good reason, right? There is a very good reason. And also, the Karen probably noticed, because service dogs tend to wear vests or whatever that say, "Hey, this is a service dog, it's on job or whatever, so please don't pet it." So there was a very big sign saying, "Do not pet me. I'm a service dog, I'm doing whatever," right? And so the Karen must have been either a combination of offended and embarrassed, because she starts lashing out at Ellie, dude. She's what? Why can't I just pet your dog or whatever? You obviously bought this vest off of Amazon and you're pretending to have it as a service dog. This isn't even a real service dog. And Ellie had never had someone say this to her because it's kind of ridiculous. Why would you fake a service dog, bro? It just doesn't make any sense. And also, why also, even if you think someone is, for whatever reason, why would you go up to them and be "Your service dog is fake"? Bro, that literally makes no sense at all. Why would you even do that? So Ellie looks at her and is "No, there's a legitimate reason." And, Ellie doesn't want to go into the legitimate reason because, some of that stuff is personal. Some of the medical information or whatever is personal. That's totally fair. That's totally fair. And the Karen's "Nope, I don't believe you. You are faking it. You are a big faker. Wah, wah, wah." So Ellie is just okay, there's obviously I'm not going to get anywhere in this conversation. I'm not going to get somewhere valuable at the end of this conversation. So why am I even having it right now? So Ellie's "Okay, ma'am, well, I got to go." And the Karen's "Don't think you're getting out of this that quickly. It's illegal to fake a service dog," which I don't know if it is actually illegal to fake a service dog. It probably is because you're faking something that is like, I think, regulated by the government and given out by certain organizations. So I think just in general, if you say the government said something and they didn't, that's probably against a law. But also, dude, what? So the Karen is like, you are going to stay right here until I get a government official to verify this, because I know for a fact that you are faking this service dog. And at this point, like, Ellie's just like rolling her eyes. She's like, bro, you cannot be serious right now. Like, dude, I'm not faking the service dog. And the Karen is like, yes, you are. And you will wait right here when I go and find someone. And the Karen walks away. And Ellie's just waiting for the Karen to fully walk away so that Ellie can just walk in the other direction. Like, she's not going to wait there for the Karen to go find a quote-unquote government official. Like, dude, what do you even mean by that? Like, are you going to go? It's not like, I don't know, a government building is on the park grounds. Like, this Karen has to, like, get into her car, drive around, get to City Hall. And obviously, like, I don't know if you guys have ever had to deal with, like, a bureaucracy in the government. Dude, you're not going to get a hold of someone right away. They're not going to be like, oh, citizen, you want something right now to deal with your problem? Oh, of course. We will happily give it to you right away. You definitely don't have to wait in line for days or book an appointment a year in advance. Of course not. This is a well-functioning organization. Okay, that was sarcasm, but look, she knew that Karen was not going to be back for a while, so she dips. And also, why would she stay? Even if the Karen was going to come back in 3 minutes, there's literally no reason for her to have to, like, prove it. The thing is, though, Ellie tells me that there's some kind of, like, she had something on her that was, like, proof. For the sake of this story, because I wasn't given specific details on what it was, I'm going to say it's, like, an ID card that proves that the service dog's legit. I don't know if that's a real thing, but I don't know exactly what it is. So for the sake of the story, you get an ID card, okay? It might be something slightly different, but for intents and purposes of telling the story, it's an ID card. So anyways, Ellie had proof on her, but she knew for a fact that, like, the Karen would be like, you fake that as well. Because if the Karen's willing to go out of her way to say that she faked an actual service dog, why would she stop at saying that she faked a service dog and not also a card for a service dog? And then there's just no point in having the conversation. So Ellie walked the other way, kind of like, it's unfortunate because the Karen definitely ruined that day. But Ellie was going to Ellie was not going to let this Karen stop her from enjoying her life and having fun. So the next day comes around, right? The next day comes, and she goes back to the park. Ellie's like, I know the Karen will probably be there, and if we see the Karen again, we're just not going to interact. Talking to the dog, right? We're not going to interact, bro. We're just not going to do anything. This Karen is not going to stop me from doing what I need to do every single day. So Ellie and the dog are in the park, and sure enough, they come in contact with the Karen again. And the Karen is like, you! So you already know that stuff's about to go down. And she's like, you ran away from me yesterday. I spent all day trying to find someone and I couldn't, so I came back to the park and you were gone. And Ellie's kind of looking at the Karen like, wait, like, you expected me to wait here all day for you to go and find someone to try and prove that I'm quote-unquote faking my service dog right now? Like, do you seriously think that I'm going to, like, waste my precious time to go ahead and, like, just to be at the very whim of your ridiculous and stupid demands? Like, that's ridiculous. So Ellie just tries to keep on walking, but the Karen steps in front of her and she says, not this time. So at this point, the Karen's like, this time, I got you. Karen whips out her phone, calls 911, demands the police arrive immediately. Doesn't really give a reason, but says it's urgent. So they just come, right? The police aren't going to question you and be like, so what exactly are you calling about? Like, if you call them, they need to come. Because there's a lot of situations where maybe you can't be specific or you need to be brief, but they still need to show up, right? So at this point, Ellie's like, am I in a fever dream right now? Like, is a Karen really calling the cops on me because she falsely believes that I'm faking my service dog? Like, no way this is legitimately happening right now. This is actually crazy. So yeah, sure enough, the Karen is waiting there, and she's like, don't go anywhere, or I will have them chase you down and hunt you down. And at this point, Ellie, like, she wanted to go. You really think Ellie wanted to be here right now, dealing with this Karen? No, of course not. But Ellie also knew that this was a problem that was only going to grow and grow if she didn't deal with it, because the Karen very clearly came to this park as often, if not more often, than Ellie did. Yeah, so sure enough, they're waiting around, and the Karen is like, you really thought you were going to get away with this, but not until I showed up. And Ellie's like, ma'am, this is a legit service dog. Why would I want to fake the service dog? And the Karen's like, well, I don't know what your intentions to be a criminal would be. I don't understand why any criminals do anything criminal. And Ellie's just looking at her like, that was like the least logical response you could have given to me without just saying straight up gibberish, dude. Like, what are you saying right now? So yeah, the police eventually arrive and the Karen starts clapping. She's like, yes, yes, justice will be served. Justice will be served. And Ellie's just standing there like, this is really the worst use of police time I have ever seen. Like I don't know, maybe something they needed to actually go and do something. But no, they needed to be here because the Karen was going to have a little mental breakdown if they did not come here and prove that she's wrong. So the police come over and they're like, okay, ma'am, like, what's going on? You called us, but you didn't really give us a reason. Like, what's going on here? Because they're like, they have no idea what to expect. I mean, as police coming into this situation, you get a frantic call from someone saying that they need to come. I mean, that could be a whole range of things. Someone could be stalking, attacking her, something like that. There could be a emergency, like someone needs a lot of help, or they need to figure out immediately what the situation's about. So the Karen goes in starts a long-winded rant about why it's important to uphold the law without saying anything specific. So the police get pretty annoyed after the Karen's like, it is important for citizens to follow the law, no matter how large or small the law is. If it is broken, it is a moral code that we all stand. Like, she goes on this really weird, preachy rant about oh, we must all follow the law or whatever. It was really strange and just didn't really fit the vibe. The police were trying to figure out exactly the details as quickly as possible. So the Karen was midway through her speech, and Ellie was literally trying to she's about to leave at this point. And the police officer's like, oh, ma'am, with all due respect, can you just tell us why you called us? And she's like, yes. So this girl over here, and points at Ellie, and she's like, what? This girl over here is faking her service dog. This is not a legit service dog. And the police kind of look at her with a look of when you call us saying we need to be here right away frantically, that's normally I'm being attacked at this very moment, come and help me type situation, not I have a suspicion about something that doesn't even matter, even if my suspicion is true. But since the police were already there, they're like, ma'am, first of all, it really doesn't matter in this situation if this is actually a service dog or not. Yes, it is technically against the law to have something saying the government said this is a service dog and it's not, but is it really important? Did it really need our attention right now? And the Karen's like, yes, it did. And they're like, it did. And the Karen's like, arrest her immediately for breaking the law. And the police officers are like, bro. So yeah, the police officers are pretty fed up with the Karen at this point, but they decide and Ellie at this point realizes that, yeah, the police officers are not on the Karen's side, but Ellie could do something that could completely slam dunk on the Karen right now. She could offer up proof, undisputable proof, basically. So Ellie speaks up for the first time because she hasn't said anything in this entire incident. She said, hey, officers, my name's Ellie. This is my service dog. I don't necessarily want to disclose the reason why I have it. However, I do have proof with me. So she pulls out a service dog ID card. I don't know if that's exactly how it goes, so you can correct me in the comments, but Ellie, the subscriber, did not necessarily say specifically what it was, but she said she had proof. So let's say it's an ID card, government ID that checks, I don't know. So she pulls out this card, and the look on the Karen's face is absolutely priceless. Because this is when the Karen realizes that she messed up, that Ellie, in fact, has proof. Because I think at this point, the Karen was a little bit mixed between I think a little part of her did believe that Ellie was faking, but I think the majority of her, I think a big part of the Karen really was just so butthurt and upset that she wasn't able to pet the dog, or probably more likely that she was just simply told no, that the Karen decided that she was going to make a whole stink out of this thing. And she made a whole stink out of this thing without actually thinking that maybe Ellie would actually have some proof that this service dog is actually hers. So Ellie hands the card over to the officer. The officer looks at it for legitimately 3 seconds and says, yes, this checks out, ma'am. The service dog's legit. Like, please don't waste your time again. And the police leave. And the Karen at this point is just so embarrassed. And then the Karen's like, oh, well, okay then. And the Karen literally like walks away. And Ellie's just like, wow, okay. And so Ellie goes there the next day. And the next day, she sees the Karen again. But remember, yesterday, when she went there, the Karen was confrontational. She was yelling at Ellie. She was like, I'm going to expose you or whatever. But this time was a little bit different. Ellie was walking in the park. She sees the Karen. The Karen turns around and starts walking in the other direction, dude. The Karen was so embarrassed to see Ellie because the Karen realized like how badly that they messed up. That, basically the Karen was there at the park for a little bit longer, but after a while, like the Karen would just run into Ellie so much and like turn around that the Karen stopped showing up to the park altogether.